thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah, good morning, everybody. That's right. I guess we're waiting. These guys aren't here yet, but I'm sure that they'll be here very shortly. But nonetheless, nonetheless, good morning. It is Friday, March 6th, 2026, and today is a National Employee Appreciation Day today. Shout out to all the employees. Well, I mean, if we didn't have employees, what would we be doing with ourselves, right? Let's see what else we got today. Today is also Day of the Dude. Now this one I was like, what is this exactly? Day of the Dude. I was a little confused by this, so let's see. Let me pull this up and see exactly what this is talking about. This Day of the Dude. The Day of the Dude, where we celebrate dudism each year for an entire day on March 6th. If you aren't familiar with dudism,
Sorry, I'm late.
No worries. Dude, it's the Day of the Dude, Dr. Mark.
We on?
Yeah, we're on. It says, welcome to the Day of the Dude, where we celebrate dudism each year for an entire day on March 6th. And if you aren't familiar with dudism, you're probably not a dude or watched the film The Big Lebowski. Getting worked up about not knowing what today is goes against the rules of celebrating today's national day. And the first rule of dudism is to sit back, relax, and go with the flow. So it is about The Big Lebowski. Have you guys seen The Big Lebowski? This goes against the rules of celebrating. Oh man, it's such a good movie, you guys. It's such a good movie.
No, I've seen the Big Lebowski, of course.
Yeah.
I've just walked into this conversation. What are you talking about, dudes?
Today, it's the National Day of the Dude.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's all about dudism today.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. I have a buddy. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Magic Castle, okay? But it's a big deal in Hollywood and whatnot, and you have to be like dressed up to go, like, you know what I'm saying, black tie kind of thing, you know what I mean? And there is one night of the year that you don't have to adhere to their dress code. And my buddy goes to this every year, and he dresses up as the dude. He goes to the Magic Castle in his bathrobe, slippers, and is holding a little quart of milk. And Kahlua, yes. Oh man, it's pretty funny. It's pretty entertaining. But let's see, it's also National Spray Tanning Day. Dr. T, do you spray tan?
No, but the orange man might.
I'm pretty sure he does. I don't know if you ever saw the Cheetos skit. Glenn Beck used to not be a fan of Trump, and so he was the one that started calling him Cheeto Man. And they did this thing where like they tried rolling their face in a bowl of ground up Cheetos to see if they could like get his color, and they were actually putting like actual swimmer goggles on. And I'm just like, you guys are idiots. Like, that is not how you do that with swimming goggles. You got to have the sun tanning goggles. Like, those things are way smaller than those things, but whatever.
Wait a minute. That's why they're idiots? Just putting their face in Cheetos.
Well, that's idiotic too. That's it. I'm with you too. Yes, I'm with you too. You know, but this, yes. We're all on the same page on this one, Dr. T.
Although the color matches pretty well.
The color did not stick to the face. It did not. It did not stick. It was like all of a sudden it looked like you had a whole bunch of pimples and you looked like a big old crater face because they didn't grind it up enough. They didn't make it minced. They just, you know what I'm saying. But nonetheless, it's also National Dress in Blue Day today. So I wore my blue coat. I see Dr. Mark is in a blue sweatshirt today. Apparently, Dr. T didn't get the memo.
This shirt is blue.
Oh, the shirt is blue. Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. All right, look at that.
I didn't get the memo.
Well, apparently you did. The universe was working. And it is also, this is probably my favorite, National Speech and Debate Education Day. I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of that. I feel like they should just rename this day to like National Charlie Kirk Day. He was the best.
I don't think I ever listened to Charlie Kirk.
Oh, bro, he was so good. He was so good. I think you would have enjoyed him if you check out some of his stuff, Dr.
I hope he's nothing like Trump, because Trump is the worst debater.
He would actually debate with Trump on certain policy points.
And win, probably, if anybody was judging.
You know, well, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website, www.high9news.com. So welcome to everyone join us from any one of those platforms. And I have some big news. I have found a lot of great studies today for you guys. And hopefully you doctors can help me with some of these words. But there's a study that says CBD and Bevacizumab combo reduces lung cancer cell growth by over 50%. A study published today by Daru, Journal of Pharmaceutical Sciences, reports that combining CBD with the anti-cancer drug Bevacizumab significantly enhanced cancer cell death in a laboratory model of non-small cell lung cancer, better known as NSCLC, the most common and deadly form of lung cancer worldwide. The research was conducted by scientists from Hamard College of Medicine and Dentistry and United Medical and Dental College, who used the A549 human NSCLC cell line to examine how the two compounds performed individually and together. Lung cancer remains the leading cause of cancer-related mortality globally, with the 5-year survival rate for NSCLC hovering around 15%. Given these poor outcomes, researchers continue exploring novel combination therapies that may improve treatment effectiveness. In the study, A549 cells were treated with CBD, Bevacizumab, or a combination of both. Cell proliferation was measured using a MTT assay. Apoptosis, programmed cell death, was assessed via flow cytometry, and changes in gene and protein expression were evaluated using Western blotting and quantitative PCR. Both CBD and Bevacizumab independently reduced cancer cell proliferation in a dose-dependent manner, and CBD alone induced apoptosis in 15.23% of plus minus 0.42 of cells, while Bevacizumab triggered apoptosis in 21.97% plus minus 0.50. However, when used together, apoptosis surged to 50.47%, plus minus 0.67, a statistically significant increase of P greater than 0.001. Protein analysis revealed that the combination therapy significantly decreased levels of BCL-2, an anti-apoptonic protein, while increasing expression of CESPES9, a key pro-apoptotic protein, which is P greater than 0.001. And additionally, the combined treatment substantially reduced expression of the metastasis-associated genes MMP-2 and MMP-9 compared to either compound alone, P greater than 0.001, suggesting the potential role in limiting cancer spread. And researchers conclude that pairing CBD with Bevacizumab produces a markedly stronger anti-cancer effect in NSCLC cells than either agent individually, supporting further investigation into this combination as a potential therapeutic strategy. Look at that. Doctors, I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. This is good news. CBD and Bevacizumab or Buzimab. How do you say that, Dr. T?
You got Bezacu. What? How do you spell it? BEZA.
Here, BEVACIZUMAB.
It's a monoclonal antibody, Jean.
Yeah. No, all the ones that end in AB are usually biosimilars. Yeah. But no, this is great news. It's, I think the lesson here is in single agent versus multi-agent pharmacology, which I love to bring up, of course. But that's on the molecular level. But the bigger level also is that, as people, we shouldn't be acting in silos. We should be working together. And this study shows on a molecular level that bevacizumab, whatever it's called, along with CBD, works better than either of them alone, right?
Yeah.
Let's take a lesson from CBD and bevacizumab.
They almost like doubled the previous results of just using them as both standalones. It's like these two compounds meant to be married to each other, Dr. T. Yeah.
I think CBD is promiscuous, though. It's having affairs with multiple other compounds.
So you're saying that CBD is a Mormon?
I don't know much about Mormons in there.
Because you have multiple wives, and they all live on the compound. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Exactly.
See?
As long as the wives are also able to have multiple husbands.
No, that's not how it works out there. CBD is, you know what I'm saying, is CBD is the dominant in that scenario and able to have multiple partners on the compound. I love how I was able to just bring it back into a medical terminology with the compound. That was great right there. Yeah. Any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark, before we move on?
Well, it's important to always consider how CBD can interact with other drugs, so drug-drug interactions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always given that there's going to be a synergy, right, John? I mean, this is just a roll of the dice, but a fortunate roll.
Yeah. And sometimes, because CBD interferes or affects metabolism, sometimes they say that CBD is just potentiating the dose. But this was done on the cellular level. So, CBD independently kills these cancer cells, as well as the biologic that they were using.
Yeah, and maybe they work by different mechanisms, right? Like CBD, we know acts on TRPV1 and helps with regulating inflammation and other issues that often cannabinoids will help bring it back towards homeostasis. So maybe, again, like I can't say that categorically across the board that you're going to always have these kinds of synergies, but it's just great when it does happen.
Yeah.
And I think it shows the benefit of plant medicine, and even further, the fact that CBD could almost be considered like a nutritional cannabinoid, something that we should have in our diet and be consuming.
I have a
fortify all foods.
I have
everything from baby formula, geriatric medicine, everything in between should have CBD in it.
I have another story that is going to touch on that exact point, Dr. Mark, and on that we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we are going to be right back. Yes, and we are back. And another study, you guys. And this is huge news, you guys, because a new study, CBD protects insulin-producing cells in obesity and boosts a key metabolic pathway. And obesity is such a plague that is plaguing Americans every day. But new research published in Molecular Biology Reports finds that CBD may help protein insulin-producing pancreatic cells in the context of obesity, potentially pointing to a new avenue for addressing metabolic dysfunction linked to high-fat diets, you guys. The study was conducted by researchers from Islamic Azad University who examined the effects of cannabidiol, CBD, and aerobic training, both individually and in combination, on beta cell function in an animal model of diet-induced obesity. Beta cells are responsible for producing insulin, and their dysfunction plays a central role in the development of type 2 diabetes. To induce obesity, 32 male Wistar rats were fed a high-fat diet for 8 weeks. The animals were then divided into 4 groups: sedentary obese rats given CBD 10 milligrams per kilogram 5 times weekly, obese rats undergoing aerobic treadmill training 30 minutes at 50% to 80% maximal speed 5 times weekly, and a group receiving both CBD and aerobic training. The interventions continued for another 8 weeks. Rats treated with CBD alone or in combination with exercise showed significant improvements in beta cell function measured using HOMA-beta index compared to sedentary obese rats. The improvements were statistically significant with p-values of 0.002 for CBD alone and 0.001 for the combined treatment. Aerobic training by itself did not significantly improve beta cell function, and at the molecular level, all 3 intervention groups experienced significant increases in pancreatic gene expression of PI3K, AKT, and PDX1, key components of a pathway involved in cell survival and insulin regulation. The combined CBD and exercise group demonstrated a synergistic effect with greater gene expression and increases than either treatment alone. Researchers concluded that CBD activates the PI3K/AKT/PDX1 signaling pathways and improves functional beta cell mass in obese rats. While aerobic training also stimulated this pathway, only CBD produced measurable improvements in beta cell function, and the findings highlight a potential mechanism through which cannabinoids may help protect pancreatic health in obesity. Through further research in humans will be, though further research in humans will be necessary. You guys, look at that. Looks like CBD might be your new dietary supplement as well. And what do you 2 doctors have to say about this?
Great study. Again, exercise and CBD works better than CBD alone.
That's right.
Yeah. So there's no magic bullets out there. There's doing multiple things to affect your condition.
Yeah, you got to have a combination. You got to be constantly working to improve yourself. You know what I mean? This is why Dr. Mark always tells everyone to on the weekends to go outside on the weekend and, you know what I'm saying, get some of that fresh air, right? Dr. Mark? Are you on mute, Dr. Mark?
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute.
Yep.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Again, obesity is a symptom, right, John? Am I not? Well,
obesity is a
medical condition. Is obesity a medical condition, or is it just a manifestation of other things that are going wrong?
No, it's a medical condition. It's identified usually with BMI, body mass index.
Right. But there are underlying causes for obesity, right?
Oh yeah, eating too much is one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's metabolic disturbances. Psychological considerations. There's a lot of things to consider with obesity.
But certainly like with cannabinoids in general, stimulation of appetite is kind of like synonymous with CB1 agonism, aka the munchies, right? And so
which is more THC than CBD.
Right. And then supposedly THCV, right? Do I have this right? Unlike THC, delta 9, it's not agonizing the receptor, it's antagonizing the receptor, isn't that right? And that turns off the hunger. So it's kind of like the
I think it's a partial agonist. It's a partial agonist, which
partial agonist. Okay, but its action on CB1 doesn't create the munchies, right? Is that the whole promise of THCV, that you're going to get, this feeling that you're not hungry, and could be the GLP cannabinoid, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they say. What it likely is that people who tend to get the munchies when they're using THCV instead of THC will not get the munchies. I don't know if it cuts appetite, but it definitely seems to prevent the munchies, and that's probably because it's more of it has less activity at the CB1 receptor than THC does.
Yeah. And isn't it true? I mean, again, like part of homeostasis is you eat when you're hungry, and you eat when your body needs the caloric nourishments, and you don't eat when you're not hungry, right? And so does cannabis or cannabinoids in general kind of like help that?
Yeah, it also affects these hormones like ghrelin and leptin, which are part of the hypothalamus and pituitary axis, and so it definitely drives the hunger that way as well.
I mean, what about people? I'm sorry, Dr. T, please continue. I'm sorry. I was just going to say, what about the people that eat because they just have oral fixations?
You mean sort of a nervous habit?
Yeah. They eat for their nerves, and so that's like the thing that calms them down. Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, or anxiety or depression. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's along the what I was trying to ask about, Jason, which is if you're feeling good, right, you're not depressed, and you're feeling good about themselves, you'd be less likely to sit at the snack counter just feeding you. Right?
Well, I think part of that also has to do with, the general thing is like, if you're always keeping yourself busy and doing things, you're probably going to be a lot happier, and you're not going to have the time to have that anxiety to eat, to even spend on just on sitting there in anxiety, stuffing your face, because you're going to have too much stuff that you have to do. So you're not going to have time to have that anxiety eating disorder.
Right.
That's a one way to deal with anxiety. Yeah.
Right?
Get your mind busy on other things.
Yeah.
But anxiety is a long discussion. THC can cause anxiety as well as reduce anxiety.
Mhm.
And as humans, anxiety is a normal reaction to stresses. We just need to learn to manage it, when there are too many stresses or we're overreactive to the stresses.
Interesting.
Well said, Dr. T. Well said.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, on that, we're going to roll. Oh, please.
Cannabinoids in general should help with that. Should. Not maybe in all cases, but,
most.
If you're de-stressed. So, like, if I come home from work, and I take like a bong rip or something like that, it kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
you can use, okay, I'm home. I just had a day of work. I could calm down, right? As opposed to, I don't know. Would I just come home and start eating a bag of potato chips? I don't know. I could do that.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. You never know. But
sometimes you get so high you forget to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Go for a walk instead. And don't bring the chips.
Yeah, don't bring the chips. Yeah, exactly. Leave the Cheetos at home, you guys. Leave the Cheetos at home.
When you come home, have carrots and celery, right, John?
Yeah, I like carrots. But, I like to have some peanut butter with my carrots and celery. You know what I mean?
I like ranch dressing myself.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Not mad at it. You know what I mean? To each their own. I found this really good peanut butter because I'm really trying to stay away from seed oils. Because seed oils, I guess, are like really, really, really bad for you. And so at Costco, I found this peanut butter that's actually really good, but it doesn't have any seed oils. It has like basically no sugar, and it's made.
I got news for you, JB.
Hold on. It's made by like 8 different nuts. Okay.
I got news for you, JB.
What's
I know
that?
what he's gonna say.
Do you know what it's called?
Seeds. Peanuts are seeds.
Well, seed oil is as far as the thing that's like actually really bad for you. That's
We're talking about canola and soybean and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, exactly.
Peanuts are seeds.
Yep. I get it. But this product, you're gonna love what this product is called.
What?
It's called Nutso.
Hey, I got a question for Dr. T. I don't know if this is relevant at all, but if peanuts, if they get peanut oil from peanuts, right, and they get soybean oil from soybeans, where do they get baby oil from?
Oh man, that sounds like
that's a dad joke.
Yeah, that should be illegal. That's oh man. And on that, we're gonna roll right in to Dr. Jean Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you can get your doctor recommendations online all the time. And if you want to be 280 exempt, you better work out a deal with him before his time is run out and you don't have no time to see anyone else. That's right, it is none other than Dr. Jean Talleyrand.
Thanks, Jason. Not sure what you're talking about with the 280.
I'm saying because it's going to apply to medical to be 280E exempt, and so therefore they're going to have to get all these dispensaries are going to have to work out deals with doctors to make sure that all their customers are making medical purchases under the medical things in order to be qualified for 280E. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, that's how I see it playing out personally. It's
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
it's your vision of the future.
Exactly. Yep. It's my reality.
All right, let's move on from that. Happy Friday, everyone. Study finds CBD may help antidepressants work faster. Talk about putting CBD in the water. Right, by Anthony Martinelli. A new study published in the journal Neuropharmacology and conducted by researchers from the University of Sao Paulo reports that cannabidiol, CBD, may help improve the effects of antidepressant treatment and may do so more quickly than some conventional options. The study focused on male mice subjected to chronic stress, a commonly used model for studying depression and anxiety-related symptoms. Researchers found that CBD at a dose of 30 milligrams per kilogram, which is a whopping dose, produced behavioral improvements within 7 days. By comparison, a high dose of escitalopram, which is Lexapro, a commonly prescribed SSRI antidepressant, took 14 days to produce similar improvement. The researchers also found that a lower dose of CBD that was initially ineffective on its own became useful when paired with escitalopram. In stress mice, the combination of low-dose CBD and escitalopram enhance anti-stress effects after 10 to 21 days of chronic unpredictable stress, suggesting CBD may have value as an add-on treatment rather than just as a standalone treatment, although the standalone treatment at high doses was faster. According to the study, the combination appeared to work through changes involving N-acyl phosphatidylethylamine phospholipase. What do you think about that one, huh?
Oh,
Or
that's a
just call
mouthful.
it NATE PLD,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In the prefrontal cortex, a brain region involved in mood regulation and stress responses. Chronic stress reduced expression of NAPE-PLD. Chronic stress reduced expression of NAPE-PLD, but the CBD and escitalopram combination restored it. The treatment's effects disappeared in mice that lacked NAPE-PLD, including those genetically altered to remove it specifically from the prefrontal cortex. And just so you guys know, NAPE-PLD is the enzyme that makes anandamide, or one of the enzymes anyway, that makes anandamide, one of the brain's endocannabinoids. So researchers also found that combined treatment increased NAPE-PLD expression in parvalbumin interneurons in the prefrontal cortex, which they say may help restore the balance between inhibitory and excitatory brain signal disrupted by chronic stress. So the findings adds to a growing body of research indicating that CBD may have therapeutic potential in psychiatric disorders, particularly as a way of enhancing existing treatments. Although the results are limited to animal models and do not prove the same effects would occur in humans, the study's authors say CBD may eventually prove useful as an add-on therapy to improve the action of SSRI antidepressants. For those of you taking an antidepressant SSRI, this study is evidence that adding CBD may improve the effects of the SSRI. Or if you want to get off your SSRI antidepressant, you might consider transitioning to CBD. Some warning: cannabinoids are fat-soluble and erratically absorbed. Consider using nano-emulsified CBD for more consistent dosing. As always, start low and go slow, building your dose, which may take some time since they were using whopping doses of CBD. The doses that they gave were 10 to 30 times higher than most products out there, by the way. So you are modulating your endocannabinoid system, which generally also affects pain, mood, sleep, and appetite. Finally, definitely continue with your psychotherapy to address the underlying cause of unmanaged anxiety or depression. And I don't know if you guys remember the SSRI craze back in the day when Prozac was first introduced. That was a while ago. So what do you think? Is CBD the new Prozac? This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High 9 News.
I mean, it very well may be, Dr. T. I wouldn't put it past it.
Yeah, it's going in the water.
Yeah.
It's going to be in the water supply.
I mean, I think it's a great thing to have in our water supply. You know, then even the fishes will be benefiting off of CBD, and you know what I'm saying?
Could be.
Yeah.
Rising tide.
I think this is great news. What do you think about this, Dr. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, there's a theme, right?
Yeah.
With these last three stories, right?
Oh,
which is that drug plus CBD seems to be working, right?
You know, I feel like today's word or three-letter initial of the show should be CBD, because all of my next two stories are all involving CBD too as well, or at least the last one is.
I did want to ask Mark something. Mark, what do you think of this? They're measuring NAPE-PLD activity or presence, which is associated with anxiety or depression. And interestingly, it's a component of the endocannabinoid system. But I was just surprised that they were looking at that rather than CB1 or CB2 activity. They were sort of looking, sooner or further down the line than that. I wanted to know what you thought about their model here to measure nape
Yeah,
yields.
I mean, it's interesting, geez, I had a thought and I just lost it, but I mean, I think yeah. So, the way a scientist thinks about these things are sort of like kinetic, so it makes different, like when you administer a drug and then you look at its effect immediately, the immediate effect versus like the effect, a couple hours from now. And so, as you know, the things that govern what we often refer to as bioavailability is two terms, PK and PD. PK stands for pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. And so these things all affect the activity and onset of activity and how long the activity goes for. What we know about cannabinoids, and CBD is no exception, is that they're fat soluble, right? So they don't have the water solubility. But you had said something about like, nano emulsification, and I mean, these things all need to be emulsified. They often, I saw this presentation, John, that was really super interesting about this group. I think they're located in San Diego. And what they've identified is that CBD immediately gets conjugated to something called fat binding protein, right? I think fat binding protein is just sort of like a generic term. I don't think it's any one thing. It's just stuff that binds to fat. And so what you think about is that when you take CBD or, even just consume any cannabinoid, it's not happy in saliva. It's not happy in the blood. It's going to want to find something to kind of conjugate to, or like, just in the same way that arterial plaques can basically plate out in arteries, things just are not soluble in blood. So I think that there's a couple different aspects of that, and one is going to affect the duration of activity. And one of the reasons why you could smoke a joint today and still fail a THC blood test next week is because our bodies have evolved mechanisms to hold on to these molecules as long as we possibly can, right? Because they're so beneficial. It's stored in fat, and right as that fat is burned and as you release energy, as calories are burned and consumed, there's kind of like a sustained release of cannabinoid through the body. So I again, I'll go back to something I said for the last story, which it almost begs the notion that cannabinoids are like nutritional supplements that should be part of our diet, that our body, we have to maintain a certain level because, again, I think it protects us in a prophylactic way, as we know that these things are fat soluble antioxidants, so they'll destroy free radicals and other damage that could happen within fatty tissues in the body, which include the pancreas, right, John? And other fatty tissues, the liver, the brain. These are all going to be tissues that are basically going to have stores of cannabinoid through, vesicles that basically capture these things and maybe release them when they're metabolized. So yeah, so just really interesting stuff. I always think about, like, again, how these things could interact in the body in the same way. Like if the cannabinoids are trying to keep us within homeostasis and disease is trying to take us out, maybe again the cannabinoid and the pharmaceutical drug can work together in concert like this.
Wow. It just could. It could be.
Sorry.
No. It could be a concert. It could be. Who knows? Maybe even there's just going to be a whole entourage, you guys.
But the concept of nutritional supplement versus targeted therapeutic for one-time effect, I think we're leaning closer to nutritional supplement. That's what the cannabinoids are good for.
Yeah,
I think so. And hopefully, like this Schedule 3 carve out of whole plant keeps the nutritional thing something that's viable and that's not going to be pharmaceuticalized, if that's such a word.
Right. Right.
I think it will because of that, because of the fact that it mentions for whole plant medicines involved in there. So I think ultimately it will be, but time will tell, and we're going to keep monitoring and following
Hopefully,
along.
but the progress report on that is abysmal, Jason. We're in March, right? What the hell is happening?
Hey,
Nothing.
I've told you, I'm personally not expecting it until before the midterms. That's when I'm expecting it, before the midterms. So that's I think it'll ultimately be the October surprise. And not to mention, there's a lot of people that are calling for investigations into Pam Bondi. So maybe she may be getting replaced, and then maybe we'll have even a more favorable attorney general in there. So there's a lot of things going on. So I'm not gonna poo-poo on it. I know it's something that's gonna happen, and I'm confident it's gonna happen.
Not to mention a war.
I wouldn't call it. I wouldn't
be distracting.
I wouldn't call it a war. I'd call it a rescue mission.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'd call it a rescue mission.
We're rescuing the fish.
Yeah, we're rescuing the Iranian people from tyranny. Yes, that's
bring them over here.
That's how I'm framing that. But on that, we're gonna roll into our next commercial, and we are gonna be right back.
Rescheduling cannabis, which was classified as more dangerous than fentanyl. Trump's action will destroy the cartel's illicit black market, expand medical research, and ensure seniors and veterans safely receive the care they need. Thank President Trump for delivering on another America First promise.
Love you, man. Oh, yeah. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com. And please make sure that you are following us on X and Rumble. And also, too, mark your calendars for Sunday, March 15th, 2 p.m. outside of Mann's Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. We are going to be doing a protest with Catalyst to protest these pedophiles and all up and down the Jeffrey Epstein files. And on that, we're going to yes, please join us. Please join us, Dr. T. Come on down to Hollywood.
As long as I can take a picture of Trump as the
you can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? I don't buy any of that rhetoric or whatnot. But it's all good. We're gonna protest the pedophiles, all the real ones.
Under President Trump, America is back. Trump's delivered the largest tax cut in history, putting more money in our pockets and restored America's economic dominance. Promises made, promises kept. Now it's time to fulfill another promise from President Trump and reschedule cannabis, which supports over 400,000 jobs and creates billions of dollars in economic growth. Reschedule cannabis and stack another win, Mr. President. America First Agriculture Action Inc. is responsible for the contents of this advertising.
And on that, we're gonna roll right into Dr. Mark Scialdone. He is the creator of compounds, the discoverer of molecules, and he does it all from his lab over there in the great Green Mountain state of Vermont at St. Michael's College, not a university, just in case you're wondering. It is none other than Dr. Mark Scialdone.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Mark.
Oh, great. Always great to connect with my friends at noon on the East Coast on High at 9 News. John, I look forward to our weekly conversation here back and forth. It's just always
Me too.
so enlightening, and I'm so excited to meet you in June.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. T and I will be attending CanMed. In fact, I don't think there's a Friday, right? There's no Friday. I think I go home on Thursday.
Oh, that's good news.
Home the next day, but
That's good news.
we'll have to send you a video, JB.
Yeah, you guys will have to make a video. Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. CanMed's a great conference, again, for folks like John and all the practicing practitioners come together. It's happening in Lake Tahoe this year, which is a beautiful place. So if you can make it up there. Anyway, my story today is really exciting. It comes from Crop Science, and it's entitled Cannabichromene Variation in Hemp Cultivars. And this is work by Anthony Torres. Let's see, where is Anthony? Anthony is somewhere in California. I think he's with a weed company. It doesn't actually say right here, but I recognize Reggie Gaudino on here, and the Reverend's on here too, as well as Don Land. So the folks who used to run Steep Hill, California, like Don
Interesting.
Land, Imran, and Reggie.
Oh, I know Reggie.
The abstract reads as following. Cannabichromene, or what's known as CBC in cannabinoid acronyms, is the non-psychoactive cannabinoid with pharmaceutical potential that is attracting significant interest for its potential in therapeutic applications. However, the factors governing CBC production in cannabis sativa remain largely unknown. This study is aimed to investigate the variation in CBC accumulation within different type 3 cannabis, which are cannabidiol dominant. So these are going to have mostly CBD, but they're looking within these cultivars for high levels of CBC. So we hypothesize that different subpopulations with different CBC production exist in these cultivars. Quantitative analysis was performed on a diverse set of type 3 cannabis sativa cultivars to determine their CBC level. We assessed CBC accumulation across generations and environments for select sessions. Temporal changes in CBD during flowering and its distribution in floral and leaf tissues were also examined. Our analysis revealed that distinct chemotypic subpopulations exhibiting varying CBC production levels, notably, certain cultivars consistently displayed high CBC across generations and diverse growing conditions, suggesting strong genetic influence. The observed intra-varietal variation and the stability of high CBC phenotypes indicate a significant genetic component involved in CBC biosynthesis. Understanding this complexity, interplay of genetic and environmental factors has important implications for breeding focused programs on enhancing CBC production in cannabis sativa. So actually on Hash Church a couple episodes ago, Caleb Chen, noted cannabis researcher, pointed out a paper from, I think it was almost about 10 years ago now, that showed a high CBC variety. And it was in a paper that really didn't get any light of day. There was really little to no attention paid to it. I think the paper was from like 2010 or something like that, so about 15 or 16 years ago. And Caleb dug deep into that paper and found a high CBC variety that had, I think what they reported, on the order of about 25 to 30% CBC. So in this current paper, they don't show levels quite that high. You got to remember that they're looking at type 3 cannabis. So let's talk about the types of cannabis. So type 1 cannabis is high THC. Type 2 is kind of an equal amount of THC and CBD. And type 3 typically is high CBD cannabis. These are just varieties where the genetics that are coding for the synthase enzymes that make these end products, which we call secondary metabolites, are just upregulated. So in certain varieties, the THC synthase pathway is upregulated, so therefore more THC is made in that variety. In other cases, the CBD synthase is more a greater expressed, so there's more CBD in those varieties. So these varieties, these synthases, all operate on CBGA, right, which is made by another enzyme. And there's now varieties where they've basically, what they're calling type 4 cannabis, where they've knocked out the THCA, the CBDA, and the CBCA synthase. So now all that the plant is really producing is CBGA. That, I guess, is what's called now type 4 cannabis. So CBC has always been one of those very rare minor cannabinoids. There just isn't a lot in some of these varieties. And when I look at the data here, they show in a scatter plot on the order of, in terms of CBD, some high as 15 or 20%, maybe 20% is kind of pushing it, but 15, 16% CBD. And in those varieties, what they found was anything from on the order of about 0.5% to as high as 4 weight percent CBC. Now, again, this is an order of magnitude lower than the variety that Caleb found in the 2010 paper that I was talking about, but still a significant finding nonetheless, because even though these plants have a lot of CBD, CBD again can be crystallized because CBD is a crystalline solid. And so what would happen? Oh, I should also mention, in these type 3 varieties, they're seeing very, very low THC. So with very, very low THC, we all know what that means, Jason, that these types of hemp cultivars basically fall underneath the Farm Bill. So there are things that can be grown in very different settings than sort of regulated cannabis. This could be grown as a crop in large fields and farms and stuff like that. So the important aspect, I think, of this work is that there's more and more medical research, in particular Pradeep's research from down in Tallahassee in Florida, has shown that CBC has got very interesting anti-cancer effects on pancreatic cancer. I know Dr. Gallo has looked at CBC for prostate cancer. So there's a lot of work now that's going on in the medical community looking at applications of CBC. So it's great to see in parallel these folks who are basically looking for plant varieties that express high levels of CBC. Let me go down and read the conclusion, which is pretty short, but it says, our findings provide compelling evidence for the genetic control of CBC production in cannabis sativa, the identification of distinct chemotypic subpopulations, and the demonstration of consistent elevated levels of CBC, and also, I didn't mention this earlier, CBCV. So Jason, what CBCV is, it's kind of like the CBC, but now with the 3-carbon variant tail, similar to THCV. So they're finding elevated levels of CBCV. I don't know what CBCV can do, but maybe it can do what CBC does.
That's the weight loss one. That's the weight loss one right there, Dr. Mark.
Yeah, so this is really exciting for researchers like me because I want to take these molecules and now try to transform them chemically into what we think could be new pharmaceutical active ingredients. So these phenotypes express consistent elevated levels of CBC and CBCV across generations, meaning that they'll take a plant, get a result from that. They'll take that plant to seed. They'll generate new plants from those seeds and look at does the amount go down over generations. And so what they're saying here is that no, it's conserved over generations and environments. Environments is super important to understand because whether you're growing down in Tucson, Arizona, or you're growing up in Minnesota, you're going to have very, very different terroir in the soil and very, very different environments. So it's very important to know how general these trends are across different growing environments. And all of this supports the hypothesis that there's specific genetic loci or alleles that are responsible for this trait. Moreover, the temporal and spatial variations in CBC accumulation highlight the complex regulation of cannabinoid biosynthesis in cannabis sativa. Future research should focus on identifying specific genetic factors and molecular mechanisms governing CBC production, as well as exploring potential influence of environmental factors. This could pave the way for the development of CBC-rich cultivars and novel therapeutic applications for this non-psychoactive cannabinoid. So yeah, I love reading papers like this because this tells us that there are scientists who are out there paying attention to the medical literature and looking at what these doctors are showing. And when we see CBC having all these great effects, it's really important for the cultivation folks to start looking for phenotypes that have elevated amount of CBC. And now Dr. T, like a patient could come into Dr. T's office, and if these cultivars are out in commercial production, those might make a good tincture for someone where, again, CBC can be the active ingredient. So it's relatively safe. It's well tolerated amongst humans and animals. And yeah, these varieties are going to make more CBC available and more CBC-rich varieties available, and perhaps we'll end up finding more things that CBC can do through this work. So the interesting aspect is that, we all know that cannabinoids aren't synthesized as their decarboxylated counterpart. So what's made by the plant is not CBC, but CBCA. There's very little mention of CBCA in this paper, but I would be interested in what the cannabinoid acids can do, because as we've discussed here on High at 9, the cannabinoid acids have completely different and complementary pharmacology to the decarboxylated cannabinoids. And again, offer another thing to entourage or have an ensemble effect over, right? You have a tincture that's got decarboxylated but also carboxylated cannabinoids, because these acids tend to be active, but in a completely different way than the decarboxylated ones. A really exciting science. Great to see this in the literature, and I'd be excited on what Dr. T has to say about this, and what Jason and there are no other correspondents today.
No.
Jenny Beth.
Jenny Beth, I thought was going to be on. Yeah, I thought Jenny Beth was going to be on, but you know what I'm saying? I don't know where she is.
Jen Bernstein. That's another JB.
Jen. She just needs to
so
respond.
What do you think, Dr. T? Really cool stuff, right?
Oh yeah, I love what you said about the acids. For those of you out there who are making homemade cannabis products, what Dr. Mark's pointing out is that the raw plant may be really beneficial for some medical conditions, and maybe even more beneficial than heating up the plant and putting it into cookies or brownies or smoking it. It may be that juicing the plant raw gets you the acids versions. CBC is a great anti-inflammatory and maybe useful in things like neuroprotection as well. But it does seem to be a strong anti-inflammatory. When I looked at a bunch of COAs, and I spent my days looking at tons and tons of COAs, I didn't see many plants with CBC, but when they did pop up, you're right on. It was right around 0.5, 1%, 2%, 4% at the most. I've never seen a 20% CBC. And usually the COAs I'm looking at are type 1 COAs. So it was interesting that you pointed out that it may be also that there's some CBC in type 3 plants, which may be why I haven't seen it very much. Maybe there are more CBC in type 3. But CBC is made from CBCA synthase, which is genetically derived. And so with crossing, they might be able to produce higher and higher levels of CBCA plants out there. I call them type 1C or type 3C these days, since the dominant are still CBD or THC in those plants.
Well, it's interesting because I had a patient back in the day that was treating their cancer, and so this just points to that. What you're talking about, Dr. T, is they used to juice the fan leaves and then put those into ice cube trays and then freeze them, right?
Yes.
And then they'd put like 3 or 4 ice cubes, into their concoction every day, and it was just working wonders for them. like wonders for them. Yeah, and
you got to
doctors.
shout out to Dr. Courtney for that. I mean, Dr. William Courtney was the pioneer in suggesting that, and he was advocating that folks should be able to grow as many plants as they can, and harvest them when they're young, and juice them.
Well, the thing about what they were using, they were just using fan leaves, Dr. T, for their juicing. So imagine if you actually used some buds or whatnot too. But they were just strictly using fan leaves for this and getting phenomenal results to where their doctors could not explain why this was working so well.
Yeah, you got to watch out for the woody parts. You got to have a good filter. Dr. Courtney points that out. You know, he likes the younger plants because they don't turn as woody, and so they're easier to blend. But if you have a really good blender or a good strainer, then you can pull out those woody parts and use the bud or the. But he's like, he would just like you take bean sprouts and which are basically young plants. He was suggesting throwing a bunch of seeds down and plucking them just when they sprout, and then using that as your medicine.
I would imagine too, to your point, Dr. T, that if you were using fresh, you know what I'm saying, fresh fan leaves, just, you know what I'm saying, while they're still moist, the hardiness that you're talking about wouldn't be as much of an issue, and you would probably get a higher yield on your juicing if you were doing them as fresh fan leaves as opposed to stuff that had been sitting around for a week or any longer period of time.
Well, as the plant grows, it naturally develops this sort of woody stem, and so it just depends on timing too. Or you pick the fan leaf and pull off the stem. That's what a lot more work.
Yep. But at the same time, like when it's trim time, you're deleafing, you're ripping off all those fans, and so if you have a collection method there, you know what I mean. That's the best way. That's the best way to do it.
Sounds like a trimming party.
You know what I mean? Sounds, hey, recycle, positively recycle. You know what I mean?
Well, when you're juicing fan leaves, there is nutritional value to chlorophyll and some of the other components that are not made in a trichome. But I would tend to think, Dr. T, like if you add a little bit of trichome content, like maybe sugar leaf, into those juicing formulations, that you're going to get a fair amount of these cannabinoids, which are in the trichome. Your fan leaf has really got very, very little to no cannabinoid content on it at all. That doesn't say that it doesn't have nutritional value for the fiber and for the chlorophyll and other plant acids and esters and sugars, but I think my concern always is that,
it's a great point. You get enough cannabinoids in the fan leaf approach versus the sugar leaves, or the actual bud. It's an excellent point.
Well, and also, fan leaves are mostly removed at the grow where you're producing. So, like if you're in cultivation, fan leaves, you're picking those things off, those nice big leaves, right?
Big old fatties, yeah.
And as soon as they pick, they start to dry. Ultimately, they'll mold and they'll get kind of funky.
Yep.
So I would assume that probably the best fan leaf juicing is when you have some plants out on the patio and you just pick them and put them in your juicer right there.
Yep.
So it goes from the plant and it goes right into your juicer, and you're not like just getting some bag of lawn clippings.
Yeah,
probably have got.
I totally.
When you put a bunch of fan leaves into like a trash bag.
Yeah, that moisture content gets crazy fast.
Start going moldy.
Yep.
You're going to smell it, just like with lawn clippings, Jason. I mean,
exactly.
When you take the grass out of your mower, it smells good, freshly mowed grass. You put that grass into like a black hefty bag.
Oh, even my green waste, even my green waste garbage can.
Hand into the middle of that grass, it's going to feel warm.
Yeah, it's all moist.
Same thing happens with cannabis. So when you freshly pick cannabis and you freshly pick like fan leaves and you put them into some container, they're going to start heating up. And when they heat up, they start doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So I always tell people, if you're going to be juicing, you should have like a patio plant where you just, it's like you're picking basil on your basil plant that's on your patio or whatever.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I'd be concerned with just getting leaf from anywhere, because a lot of times that shit's contaminated.
Yeah, well, I mean, what Dr. Courtney suggests is taking your fan leaves or your young leaves, rinsing them, putting them right away into a container, and taking some apple juice, and then letting the apple juice and the fan leaves sit for 4 or 5 hours in the refrigerator, and then blending it in the Vitamix or something.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
The apple juice helps with the bitterness of the leaves.
Interesting. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we're going to be right back. And I do want to encourage everyone to go and check out Anna's new location over on 2nd Street in Long Beach.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Yes, and we are back. And man, we have been driving in the fast lane today, you guys, on all this CBD stuff. And I have a new study for you guys because, as you know, I often say that I don't believe that cannabis impairs your driving. And guess what? Now I have some backup, you guys. I have some research. That's right, because they say no significant driving impairment found in 12 to 15 hours after marijuana use in frequent consumers, you guys. Exactly what I was telling you. A study published in the Journal of Cannabis Research finds that frequent marijuana users did not show measurable driving impairment the morning after use, even when detectable levels of THC remained in their blood and oral fluid. The research was conducted by scientists from the Institute for Mental Health Policy Research, Trent University, and the University of Toronto. The study examined whether marijuana consumed the night before could still affect driving performance the following morning. And researchers recruited 65 frequent marijuana users who reported smoking at least 4 times per week, along with a matched control group of 65 people who do not use cannabis. Participants were similar in age, sex, driving experience, yearly driving distance, and sleep patterns. And frequent users completed a driving simulator test 12 to 15 hours after their last marijuana use. During the same session, researchers collected blood and oral fluid samples to measure THC, cannabidiol, CBD, and related metabolites. The analysis found no statistically significant differences in driving performance between the marijuana users and the control group, and measures such as vehicle speed, following distance, and lane control were similar between both groups during both standard driving conditions and more demanding distracted driving scenarios. The standard deviation of lateral position, a measure often used to assess lane weaving, was slightly higher in the non-marijuana group than in those who had used marijuana the night before, though the difference was small and not statistically significant. Researchers also found no meaningful relationship between THC concentrations in blood or oral fluid and driving behavior, and average blood THC levels among participants were above 2 nanograms per millimeter at the time of testing. Although some marijuana users reported feeling more intoxicated and expressed greater willingness to drive before the simulator session, those differences were also not statistically significant after statistical corrections. The researchers concluded that frequent marijuana users did not
show significant driving impairment 12 to 15 hours after use, and they say longer studies are needed to determine whether the same findings apply to occasional users or to other forms of marijuana consumption, you guys. Wow, look at this. What do y'all have to say about this? Makes me want to get behind the wheel and go, you know what I'm saying, on a nice drive on the highway. What do y'all got to say?
Well, I'm horrible driving with THC, I'll tell you that. But it's mostly because I drive slow. Yeah.
Well, you're of a particular age, Dr. T, so you know what I mean? I'm not surprised that you take it in the slow lane.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be it too.
Yeah. You know,
know yourself, if you're not, if you have slowed reaction, don't get in the car.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and some people are more prone to that, right, Dr. T? I mean,
yeah, we're not all the same. Some people are better.
Yeah,
I've been in a car where I'm like, oh, you need to smoke because you're just driving way too fast for me. So
see, that's how you would say with me. And if I smoked, I'd still be going probably even faster. If you smoked, you'd be like, oh man, we're like at light speed.
Nah, I'm not interested in dying in a motor vehicle.
We're not. I'm the most efficient driver on the road, Dr. T.
Yeah. I can't wait until they replace you with an autonomous vehicle.
Oh no, it's not happening. It's not happening. You know why? Because I'm never going into these autonomous vehicles. I am not a participant in any of that.
So great. They're great.
No way.
They don't get frustrated if you're slowly walking across the street. They don't edge you and see you.
I would still be getting frustrated. I would still be getting frustrated in the car. I would be yelling, da 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 da.
Well, I don't know. If you get a Waymo, they're nice, Jaguars that you play some music and just hang out in the back.
I'm gonna be smoking in the car if that's the case. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's allowed.
Well, see, this is another reason why I would never take any of these dumbass things.
Well, there's a business for you. You make autonomous vehicles that you can smoke in.
Maybe I'll get a government grant and start an autonomous car company for smoking and drinking inside the vehicle.
I'm sure people are drinking in the vehicle.
Oh man, maybe we will call the car carrier service the Crossfade. I'm not mad at this. Are you a crossfader? And download our app if you're crossfaded. You know what I'm saying? We'll get you there through the highway and the byway. Oh man, I really love this study. I guess Dr. T, you would probably fall in they said 12 out of 15 people that didn't measure anything. So there's three people out of 15. You might fall in that smaller percentile.
Very much.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but to each their own. In essence, we here, if that is true, we actually solidify that study by the three of us as being a micro population of the 15 members. You know what I'm saying? We are a fraction of that. You see what I did there, Dr. T?
Well, Mark, how's your driving with cannabis, with THC?
Yeah, I'm all about focus on the road. I'm focusing on, I try to avoid dangerous driving conditions. If I see a cluster of cars on the highway, I might speed up to go around them just to get away from a cluster of cars.
Yeah.
I'm very cognizant about my environment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly like to be stoned and driving. I drive sober.
Mm-hmm.
I'll drive to get to where I need to go and then go get stoned there. It's like I don't need to get stoned in the car. I can wait till I get home, or I can wait till I go to my friend's house.
Dr. Mark doesn't.
I try not to consume in the car, and I'm always cognizant, John. I don't know if you're like this too. Even if I'm like out to dinner and I'll have like a cocktail with my dinner, I make sure I have a big dinner. I never want to smell like booze behind the wheel.
Yep.
I think smelling like booze behind the wheel is just a recipe for disaster. You don't even have to be drunk. If you smell boozy,
yep,
the guy's gonna, you're gonna get. So
yep.
I try to. I'm a very conscious driver about my, driving skills. Try not to drive too fast, not to drive too slow. I don't. And when I do get stoned, I'll notice like on like a 4-hour trip seems to go by in an hour.
Yeah.
Right?
See, look at that.
Right. So your perception of time behind the wheel kind of changes. Now I'm always listening to music. Sometimes I'll do book on tape, so I try to keep my mind occupied as I drive, so I'm not thinking about other things, but.
Well, on that, shout out to the Pepper Plug who says, Jason presents Weedmo, a Waymo subsidiary. I think Weedmo would be a great name for it too. I like that. The Pepper Plug.
Much better.
Yeah, I like that. I like that name. I like that name as well. Well, I have one final study for you guys, and I think you guys are going to find this super interesting. We've been talking about CBD all day, and this is a very lean story for you guys. Are you guys ready? Because they say hemp protein cuts cholesterol by nearly 40% in lab tests, which is great for everybody that loves butter on their steak. A new study published in Food Research International suggests that a modified form of hemp protein may help reduce cholesterol and triglyceride levels by targeting key enzymes and metabolic pathways involved in fat storage. Researchers from Northeast Agricultural University in China developed a hemp protein hydrolysate, HPH, using a combined enzyme and bacterial fermentation process designed to enhance its biological activity. According to the study, the approach altered the protein's structure, decreasing its helical content while increasing its, the funny B with the minus sign, sheet structures, changes that were linked to improved functional properties. Laboratory testing found that HPH significantly inhibited pancreatic lipase and cholesterol esterases, two enzymes involved in fat digestion and absorption, in cell-based experiments using HEPG2 liver cells exposed to free fatty acids. Higher concentrations of HPH reduced total cholesterol by 39.71%, triglycerides by 30.84%, and low-density lipoprotein LDL cholesterol by 21.94%. At the time, levels of high-density lipoprotein HDL cholesterol increased by 1.4-fold. Further analysis showed that HPH activated the AMPK signaling pathway and influenced several lipid-regulating pathways, including SREBP1, PPARA, HMGCR, and PCSK9-LDLR. These pathways play central roles in cholesterol production, fat metabolism, and lipid transport within cells. Researchers reported that these combined effects led to improvements in intercellular lipid accumulation, and the findings indicate that hemp protein, when processed using enzymatic hydrolysis and fermentation, may serve as a natural candidate for preventing or managing hyperlipidemia. However, the results are based on laboratory and cell models and clinical trials, you guys. Look at that. CBD for hemp protein. Look at this. Man, what a CBD-tastic day today, this Friday is. What do y'all doctors have to say about this?
Well, first of all, this has nothing to do with CBD. This has to do with HPH, which I think is amazing because I think this is the best story of the day.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because HPH, I mean, I don't know how to make HPH, but apparently it's a fermentation process, like making beer or something. I don't know. So, I mean, figuring out how to make HPH from hemp it would be amazing. I mean, it could replace the statins that, is a huge billion-dollar industry, but this is natural, plant-derived. As long as you can make, I don't know, the kimchi of hemp. I don't know how you make HPH. We got to come up with a formula for HPH, fermentation.
I know a guy that has a lab with a whole bunch of lab equipment that likes to make things and do this kind of work.
Yeah, you might just need a kitchen.
Dr. Mark got a kitchen over there at the college, not university.
We're looking at you, Mark, because this is your expertise. You're going to help us make some HPH.
Yeah.
Show us the way. No. You don't think this can be made in a kitchen?
I can't make drugs. I can teach students how to make drugs.
Oh, no, hey, we're good with that.
HPH. This is just a kimchi version of hemp.
Bro,
plants,
I just see a whole marketing campaign of saying how HPH is greater than HGH.
It's probably safer.
Oh, it's definitely safer, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think this would be a fantastic business opportunity for someone in the protein space.
Well, I'm sure Dr. Courtney's recipe of taking leaves and soaking it in apple juice. I don't know if it makes the HPH, but it could be making the HPH. Sounds like it's keeping your the cholesterol from food from being absorbed. Yeah. So you might be better with a meal. Here again, kudos to whole plant.
Dr. Mark, if I had a kitchen for you to be able to utilize, would you be open to teaching some people or working with them to create some HPH that could be food grade quality?
I'm not a food person. I have no idea what it is. So
we're going to do some research on that.
We're going to do some research.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all about doing research. You know me. I mean, I'm a researcher at heart, but I don't know that I'm the right one for that. But hey, we could always try.
You didn't specialize in fermentation in
no, not at all. Not at all. I specialized in consuming fermented products.
But I thought,
come on, you never made some beer in your kitchen, homemade beer?
I mean, come on.
What, when we were kids, we used to make Applejack. Remember Applejack?
Which is fermented
some apple cider and put some yeast in there.
I made Pruno.
Applejack, and I think the first hangover I ever got as a kid was I'm like, oh, this stuff is like apples, right? Go.
Yep.
Oh, there's so much sugar and so much alcohol in there that sends you almost to a hangover from hell.
Yeah.
And for that to be your first hangover from alcohol consumption as a kid,
oh man,
teaches you don't have a hangover.
Yes. Yeah. Oh man.
Anyway.
Man. I really like this. I think this is going to be a new thing. I think we're going to have a new product line coming out pretty soon, doctors. And I think Dr. Mark, I think you actually are, even though you don't think you are yet, I think you are the right person to possibly help with this project.
HPH sessions.
HPH, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I think this is going to be a huge thing, especially as big as protein is getting. But nonetheless, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high at noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. And thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. Thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.